Do you want to sound more natural, more like a native when you speak English? The answer is intonation. Can you hear the difference between these two sentences? I would love to come, but we're having the kitchen decorated that day, so I won't be able to make it. I would love to come, but we're having the kitchen decorated that day, so I won't be able to make it. Which one sounded more natural? The only difference was the level of intonation and stress. And luckily, that is exactly what we're looking at today. How great is that? If you practice your intonation, it will stop you sounding like a robot and it will help you to sound more expressive and fluent. Laura, you keep saying this word intonation. What does it mean? Thanks for asking. Simply, it means the rise and fall of your voice. Sometimes we go up in pitch and sometimes we go down. Intonation is how we convey what we mean. The most common example of this is when we go up at the end of a question to signify to that person that we are asking them something.
When we left, you said, got the keys. No, I didn't. I asked, got the keys?
Stress is the other thing we will look at today. That is the emphasis, the heaviness that we put on a word. We usually stress the words and syllables that are more important than the others. A great way to understand stress is to look at this sentence. I didn't say I ate your cake. I'm going to say that sentence, but I'm going to stress a different word every time. See how it completely changes the meaning of that sentence. I didn't say I ate your cake. 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 See, completely different meanings, all by stressing a different word. In my opinion, the best way to practice your intonation and stress is by copying. As you get more advanced in English, you will find that your intonation and stress naturally improves. But to speed that up a little bit, it's really useful to copy someone, just so that you can unlock the different pitches that your voice can do. Sometimes we get trapped and we think that our voice can only do one thing. But if you copy someone and you go up and down, you might just realize, oh, there's different places for my voice to go. By the end of this lesson, you will have spoken in a much more natural way, and if you practice regularly, it will become part of your everyday speech. I'm going to be reading a very simple story about someone losing their keys. Little by little, we will look at this story and see how we can read it in the most natural sounding way, and hopefully learn some new English words along the way. Let's hear the first section. See if you can hear where my voice rises and where it falls. Just a quick note, I speak with a standard English accent with hints of the West Midlands, so that might have an impact on how I stress things or where my intonation goes. So if you really don't want a voice that sounds like mine, this might not be super useful, but if you do, let's carry on. Off we go. So picture this. I had this grand plan to tackle my day like a superhero. I'm talking about a perfectly organised to-do list, a clear headspace, and maybe even a cape if I could find one lying around. But guess what? Fate had other plans, and it decided to test my superhero abilities right from the get-go. So obviously, my voice went up and it went down, but let's pay attention to where and why. Now, the first thing you might notice is I go down at the end of my thoughts, and maybe even a cape if I could find one lying around. I go da 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 da. Da 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 da. I tend to go down, and this is really common with standard English accents. We tend to follow this kind of pattern. We go up, like an 8, like a figure of 8. This is explained brilliantly in the book How to Do Standard English Accents by Edda Sharp and Jan Hayden Rowles. They talk about this shape, this figure of 8. So try it with me. Obviously, not everything I say is going to perfectly follow this, but the rough outline is normally that. So try it with me, okay? We've got the sentence. I had this grand plan to tackle this day like a superhero. So I'll do it once and then you try it. So we go. I had this grand plan to tackle my day like a superhero. Can you see how I ended on the down, but I went up and I went up again? So try it with me. Ready? Slowly. I had this grand plan to tackle my day like a superhero. A bit quicker. I had this grand plan to tackle my day like a superhero. Nice. Now, naturally, your voice is going up and down and it just unlocks different pitches that you can have when speaking. And it sounds much more natural than I had this grand plan to tackle my day like a superhero. So try speaking with that. You can even do it with your hand and it makes it a lot easier. Next in the story, I had a list of 3 things. I'm talking about a perfectly organised to-do list, a clear headspace, and maybe even a cape if I could find one lying around. So one way to do a list to make it a bit more interesting is to change the pitch. So we tend to go up when we're doing lists. So if I had my shopping list, I might say, okay, I've got apples, bananas, pears, oranges, fruit, vegetables, bread. Can you see how I kind of go ba, ba, ba? It's almost like music really. Ba, ba, ba. So, okay, today I have to go to the shop, I have to see my friend, and I have to go to get my car washed. And I still ended on a down because we like to end on that down in this particular accent. So let's try this list and see if you can hit those ba, ba, ba. Let's try it. I'm talking about a perfectly organised to-do list, a clear headspace, and maybe even a cape if I can find one lying around. It just helps the list not sound so much like a list, because lists are boring. So if you don't have that variation, it can sound just boring. So try that next time you have a list. Try to follow the ba, ba, ba rule and you should be fine. Then we had a question. But guess what? But guess what? But guess what? And I'm going to go up because it's a question. Then we had fate had other plans. Fate had other plans. Try it with me, come on. Fate had other plans. Let's put the 2 together. But guess what? Fate had other plans. Do it with me. But guess what? Fate had other plans. Lovely, lovely, lovely. Before we move on to the next section, I have a great tip that will really help you improve your intonation and stress in spoken English. You need to surround yourself with natural sounding conversations. You need to be consuming all the best English content, movies, TV shows, podcasts, so that your ears get used to hearing how native speakers use their voice. And the best way to access all of the English content that the internet offers is with NordVPN. A lot of brilliant English content that can help you achieve your language goals might be blocked in your country, and that is so frustrating. NordVPN has a huge network of servers in various countries. By connecting to one of those servers, you can virtually change your location, making it appear as if you're browsing from another part of the world. And voila, the content is unblocked and the sky is the limit. I personally use NordVPN to access French-speaking content because I'm trying to learn French, and it is so useful to be able to access French TV shows so I can hear how they use the language and I can imitate, learn, and develop. I also use NordVPN to help me sleep at night because I get very scared of hackers and scary people on the internet. NordVPN have a threat protection feature. It blocks trackers, malicious ads, harmful websites, and infected files. It feels like having a bodyguard with me every time I use my computer. Back up. And the best thing is, I have a great offer for you. Get 4 bonus months on a 2-year plan here. nordvpn.com/smashing. And it's risk-free with NordVPN's 30-day money-back guarantee. So go, go, go! Thanks NordVPN. Let's move on to the next section of our story. See if you can hear the changes in intonation and stress. I was all set to conquer the world, or at least my laundry pile, when I reached for my keys, my trusty sidekick in the battle against being late everywhere. But alas, they were nowhere to be found. I swear, those keys have a secret life of their own. It's like they sprout legs and go gallivanting around the house when I'm not looking. Okay, so again, did you hear the figure of 8, how I went up and then went down. A great example was here. I was all set to conquer the world. I was all set to conquer the world. Try it with me. I was all set to conquer the world. One more time. I was all set to conquer the world. And then we had brackets, or at least my laundry pile. Now, when you've got something in brackets, it's like an added thought. So you kind of give it a very different intonation. It kind of goes a bit lower because you want to tell that person that this is an added piece of information. So listen to how I do it. I was all set to conquer the world, or at least my laundry pile. It's almost like, you know, like a little side thing. So drop your pitch and give it a little bit of a do. You know, it's like added information. So do that with me. I was all set to conquer the world, or at least my laundry pile. Nice. Then I definitely put stress on keys because this is the first time I'm saying this important word. So remember, we stress important words. So when I reached for my keys, put the stress on there. Give it a bit of when I reached for my keys. But alas, they were nowhere to be found. But alas, they were nowhere to be found. And nowhere is an important word as well. So I'm going to stress that as well. They were nowhere to be found. So try that sentence with me. So listen and then copy. But alas, they were nowhere to be found. Really push that. It doesn't mean make it louder. It just means have more push with it. But alas, they were nowhere to be found. If you want, you can do a little punching movement if you want. But alas, they were nowhere to be found. Great. Do you want to try the whole thing with me so far? See if you can do it with me. I was all set to conquer the world, or at least my laundry pile, when I reached for my keys, my trusty sidekick in the battle against being late everywhere. But alas, they were nowhere to be found. Wonderful. Now, in this last sentence, we are saying quite crazy things. It's like they sprout legs and go gallivanting around the house when I'm not looking. It's like they sprout legs, like grow legs, and go gallivanting. If you go gallivanting, you just run off to do whatever you want. You're having fun, you're doing what you want. You could say something like, you can't go gallivanting round the town, you have to work. You can't go running around the town having fun, doing what you like. You have to work. Now, obviously, it's crazy to think that keys have legs and run off. So I'm going to stress those ideas because they're new and weird. So I'm going to say, it's like they sprout legs and go gallivanting around the house when I'm not looking. So really give me the stress on sprout legs and go gallivanting. So listen one more time. It's like they sprout legs and go gallivanting around the house when I'm not looking. Well done! Let's hear the next section. Eventually, after what felt like an episode of my own personal reality show called Where the Heck Are My Keys?, I found them, and you'll never guess where. Drum roll, please. They were in the most obvious place ever, the key hook by the door. How they managed to elude me for so long, I'll never know. Okay, this one's a little bit different because this is a bit of a humorous piece of text. The person from this story is trying to maybe get a laugh. So you can hear the kind of comedic intonation in my voice. So obviously we start with eventually, and we normally with that word, we normally stress it in a certain way because normally it's, you know, after a long time. So we say eventually, I want to stress that second syllable. Eventually, try that with me. Eventually, lovely. After what felt like an episode of my own personal reality show, I would stress reality show because that's new. This is a new idea. It's something that maybe the person listening isn't expecting. So give that a bit of a stress. Eventually, after what felt like an episode of my own personal reality show called, and then we've got a little quote, "Where the heck are my keys?" So make sure that lives on its own. If you're doing a quote or a joke, kind of give it its own space. So listen again and try to copy me. Eventually, after what felt like an episode of my own personal reality show called "Where the heck are my keys?" Good, try it with me, say it with me, here we go. Eventually, after what felt like an episode of my own personal reality show called "Where the heck are my keys?" I found them. Now we kind of built. I found them. So we still want the pitch to go down because we like to end down, but the stress is still there. So I don't want this, "I found them." I still want to hear "I found them." So we're going down with the pitch, but the stress is still there. I found them. Try that with me. I found them. I found them. Can you hear that stress on found? Well done. And you'll never guess where. Drum roll, please. And you'll never guess where. And you'll never guess where. This is a lovely little thing that you can do if you want to put some emphasis. You can really emphasize every word on its own. And you'll never guess where. If you want to be dramatic, if you want people to really listen, and you'll never guess where. Give me the stress on every single word. Eventually, after what felt like an episode of my own personal reality show called "Where the heck are my keys?" I found them. And you'll never guess where. And then, of course, we want to stress the final answer. We want to stress where the keys were, because that's what this whole story is about. So they were in the most obvious place ever. The key hook by the door. The key hook by the door. Give me stress. The pitch can even go up because this is the most important part of the story. Try that with me. Ready? The key hook by the door. The key hook by the door. Well done. Okay, we're into the final section. You've done so well. Let's see if we can finish this thing. But hey, I like to think of it as a mini adventure in the mundane chaos of everyday life. Who needs a superhero cape when you've got a pair of elusive keys to keep you on your toes? So that started with "but hey," which is something that lives on its own, so we can separate it from everything else. We might say "but hey" as kind of an admission that you can't change it. So, but hey, I'm not going to be angry, I'm not going to be annoyed. I'm over it. I've forgotten about it. So we'll leave that on its own, but hey. Then we'll do the figure of 8. I like to think of it as a mini adventure in the mundane chaos of everyday life. So try that really slowly with me. Here we go. I like to think of it as a mini adventure in the mundane chaos of everyday life. One more time. I like to think of it as a mini adventure in the mundane chaos of everyday life. Lovely, very good. And then we end on a question. Who needs a superhero cape when you've got a pair of elusive keys to keep you on your toes? We go up at the end. Very, very good. You have done a fantastic job today. Now, obviously, I can't be here every day to tell you how to say everything, but hopefully this video has encouraged you to practice going up and down a little bit more. Unlock different pitches. Don't just speak all at one level. Try the figure of 8. It'll really help you sound really natural. It'll give you a nice flow to your speech, and it will just make it sound like you've spoken English for years and years and years and years. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. If you would like to leave any comments with any questions, leave them down below. If you would like an online English lesson with me or my partner Bez, the link for that is also down below. Oh, and our Instagram is there. Follow our Instagram. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Ta-ta!